Okay, hello guys. In this video I'm gonna take you through how and where to find answers for this hand-in and how to go about. First of all, what you'll encounter or find when you open the document is these files, and here you can click on files, and then you see there are certain Word documents, and then there is also an Excel. Anyway, very important that what you open here is the opgaveskabelon, and then you see the different questions. And here it's very important that you notice that it's business economics, and this was for the exam last year, and this is page 1 of 2, etc. But anyway, let's continue. First of all, the first question says, based on the accompanying file, explain which factors have impacted Salling Group AS financial development from 18 to 20. Okay, overall, without any prior knowledge, you're not able to answer this, but you open these two files where you have articles explaining the development for Salling Group. Of course, factors, of course, you highlight the factors that have importance for Salling, and you write them down here. It's very important that you write it in a manner so that it's easy for the teacher to read, but it's also very important that you write it in a way so that you can use it for the next coming questions. So when you have done that, and look, it gives 10%, so that's 10% out of 100 points. 10% out of 4 hours for an original exam task. So that's quite a lot of time. So don't go about doing this too fast, because you will be punished in the exam if you don't take this serious. Anyway, next question is 15% of 100 and of 4 hours, and you need to analyze the development in index figures for earning and asset use efficiency from 2018 to 20 with the help of these factors. When we talk about these factors, we talk about the factors that you have looked up upon here. But again, you open this document. Now we open the Excel document, and we can see that we have a lot of material. But we go down here for the index for earning capacity, and we look for the index for asset use capacity. And again, it's important that you first, for example, will do it with the asset use. We see base year 1, year 2. So it's very important that you compare this to this. So go about it and write it in a way so that it's easy to write. So first, revenue compared to fixed assets. Next, revenue compared to inventories. Afterwards, see, okay, has revenue developed positive compared to the assets? And then use that in the analytical part, and do the same up here in the index used for earning capacity. Very important. Yes, and now we move on. Assess the development in index figures has affected the profit margin ratio and asset turnover ratio from 2018 to 20. Again, you've already analyzed the index figures, both of earning capacity and for asset use. Now you go up here to the profitability and look at the profit margin ratio, and you look at the asset turnover ratio in times. Now it's important that you calculate the percentage change and the percentage points of the profit margin ratio and relate it to the earning capacity. Afterwards, it's also really important that you link it to the articles. This means that these two articles that you read, it's really essential that you find places where they write about cost and revenue. Find that after you wrote the profit margin ratio has developed like this and this and this. We see this in the article where we can see that this has happened to Salling Group, and continue on. Okay. Next thing you also have to do with the asset turnover ratio. Just with the asset turnover ratio, remember percentage development is important, but percentage points, no, because it's in times per year and it's not in percentage. Cool. Now we continue. Explain why the return on equity has rises from 27.7 to 30.7 in 2020. Again, a good point here is to find the return on equity, which is here, and then use the equation to, and if you double click on it, you can see how it's calculated, and you can see which figures has been affected and which figures has moved, increased or decreased. Then you can use this knowledge to answer the question along with the articles that you add on if you want sub points. Now we continue. Assets which growth strategy Salling Group AS is pursuing. Assets which growth strategies they are pursuing. They need to look at answer growth matrix. And we introduced that first year in business economics, and it's also something you know from marketing. So you bring that along, it gives 5%. And next, assets why Salling AS decides to expand its range to include more organic products. Think about it compared to what you have written from 1.1 to 1.5, and give a good estimate to that. Okay, next one. Calculate the variable unit cost for a packet of padella pasta. The information can be found in Appendix 2. In this task, you need to go to the Appendix 2 here, where you see a consignment, how much that costs, purchase price per packet, exchange rate, etc. You need to use this information to calculate how much it costs variable unit cost, because you know it costs 35 kroner to sell. How much does it cost to actually get the product? So that information can be found in, if you look at the book, in some of the first chapters here in income and cost, etc., companies earning, etc. So if you're in doubt of what to do here, look there. Yes, and if we move on to the question 2.2, calculate contribution margin for the contribution ratio for one packet of padella pasta. Contribution margin, remember, that's the sales price minus the variable cost. So that's given. When you have done that, find the equation for contribution ratio, which is also presented in the book. Dækningsgraden, it's called in Danish. Look up that if you're in doubt. It should be possible for you guys to do. Or if you forgot. Calculate how many packets of padella pasta needs to be sold in order to cover the cost of ads. 2,750. There you need to look into the equation for break-even. If you look into the equation for the break-even, the answer will be given to you. Next one, assess what Alfredo Di Luca can do to improve the contribution ratio for the packet of padella pasta. You need to think, you need to look at the figures, you need to use your imagination in order to answer that question correctly, and there's also some information in the task. It should be possible. Cool. Next one, we move on to prepare a start-off budget for quality workout year. Here it's important that you, if in doubt, that you look in the chapters here, around here. Chapter 6 is full of budget information, but you can also use your knowledge and your ideas from Økonomisk Grundforløb to solve some of this task. Anyway, what you do is prepare a startup budget and template. So if you open it, you have here all the assumption, and then you have the startup budget. Please try this. It should be possible. This would be likely to find its way to an exam, so it would be likely that this would also happen when you go to the exam in May. Okay, now we go assets. Which forms of ownership the sisters should choose for quality word out there. Here you need to think about what type of ownership or what business type, or how to do a budget and how to do an annual report, and all that knowledge you have from the first chapters in the book, where we, for example, to do a public limited company, private limited company, but there's also other choices. Remember to argue why you think one is better than the other. Really important. Yes, the next one, prepare the balance sheet for Kaffe Import AS as at 31st of December 2021. It is not necessary to prepare note. And the next one, explain why Kaffe Import AS profit and equity has impacted by having to discard goods worth of 2 million, which have exceeded discard. That means that suddenly you have a product on stock, and suddenly the product loses its value. What does that do to the company? You have to think about, if you have something worth 2 million one day, the other day is worth 0. What does that do to the annual report? You need to think a bit about that, answer that question. Yes, if we look at it, you see all the reporting here, and in this case, it's really important. One thing, you need to, of course, take things up here in the where you have the reporting, and where you can move the different things up. This would be a typical assignment you have in the exam. It's an assignment you'll find all the time, and it's very, very typical to do an assignment either way you do the balance sheet, or where you do both income statement and the balance sheet. Anyway, what you find here, and where it sometimes confuses students, is, for example, here, fixtures and fittings and tools and equipment. You see it on the debit column here, but you also need to credit it, because accumulated depreciation on fixtures and fittings. So 1,334 minus 507. Remember that where it says depreciation, etc. Remember to subtract that from the initial in the debit column. Guys, I hope that this helped. Good luck with the assignment. Important that you use this. Write me if there's any questions. We are going to do a couple of assignments before the exam, and before the exam I'll of course also provide you with all the information needed and the solutions to prior tasks, etc. So peace out.